turning sound on. The sound is live, and looks like Lisa is probably also live. Say hello, Lisa.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, just having another little allergy situation as usual. Excuse me. Gotta wipe my eyeball out because I'm crying. Welcome to another day of the Consensus Podcast, where we cough, sneeze, and otherwise don't have good audio at some point for some reason. Jeez. So, as per usual, talking some crypto, some NFTs with my favorite co-host here, Lisa from For Women by Women Crypto, at what was it, crypto or womenonlycrypto.com. Yep. Which we'll of course put down in the links in the descriptions for both the YouTube and the Twitch videos. I'm gonna go ahead and start recording here, and oh, we're crying a little bit. Lovely.
Or we can't see it.
Yeah. That's just my favorite. So, some big stories today that I guess people are talking about. People trying to put women in a box as usual. Some stuff happening over. Retail is checking out Google, so Google searches for NFTs are at an all-time high, which is great. I'm going to talk a little bit about Fractal NFTs. Tether whales buying $1 billion worth of Tether in the last month, giving them a better position for purchasing. And that women's story was Unstoppable Domains giving away 10 million in domains, which I did check out Unstoppable the other day for a couple of domains, and they range from like $20 to $200 depending on the domain.
Plus gas.
Plus gas, yeah. You can't forget about gas fees. And then what else did I have kind of lined up here? Talk a little bit about Fractal NFTs, and that was Justin Kahn, the co-founder of Twitch, the actual platform, is the founder of that platform and NFT project. So I actually dug into that a little bit. Shoot, I even sent them off a resume. They had just kind of an open job listing in their Discord. So I was like, oh, I want a job. I'll work with Justin.
I've seen, actually, that's a really interesting topic. I've seen people post multiple jobs in Discord.
Oh yeah.
Now I don't know how long the job lasts. I don't know what kind of health coverage comes. I don't know any of that, but I've seen it happen, and I'm sure there's legitimacy, especially if you trust the project. Like, for example, one of the projects that I'm invested in and have been invested in, NFT project with utility for like 6 months. That's a good example of that. You know what I mean? They have jobs like project manager now, and they opened it up to everybody that was already invested in their NFTs. So really, you potentially could get a really great hire that it's already invested in your product.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, in crypto, that's where a lot of the best people come, and a lot of the best team members come from. They're already, like you said, invested in it. They want it to do well because they're already a part of the community and all of that. And so when you see that, you see this person who's already involved, and you draw them into your fold and become an actual part of a team, the rest of the community sees that and they say, that's awesome. We love seeing that. And it's definitely a benefit for trusting your team, and
you're gonna know, at least, at the very least, your interests collide.
Right.
Your best interests collide.
Yeah, I should hope so.
Monetarily or whatever. Now, does that mean it's going to work out? I don't know, but that's why obviously you probably go through an application. But yeah, I think the point is that more and more you're seeing jobs in Web3 being displayed in very different methods than they would in traditional means. And there are really great job boards out there for Web3 jobs, but this is in addition to that.
Okay, so which story would you like to talk about first?
Because it's Women's Month, let's talk about the Women's Month, and then we can go on from there.
Let's do it. That sounds super awesome to me. And we are here with yourself, and we love to promote women and the awesome things that y'all do in the industry. Doesn't matter what industry, we just love to see it. So let's chat about that. I'm
Yeah.
going to go ahead and pull up that Decrypt link here real quick. Switch over for a sec. So here's the story: Unstoppable Domains giving away 10 million in domains to support women. So what do you have to say about that, Lisa?
Oh, I mean, I love the dedication. I was trying to figure out exactly what the details were, and I think you were going through that. But first off, let's just talk about, the dedication, I think, to getting more women adopted into Web3. I'm glad
Right.
that they're doing this. I know that there's been some drama within Unstoppable, I believe, with one of their founders. I'd have to double check. Don't quote me on that. But outside of that, it said that they had this planned for some time because they want to invest in women, getting women past, I guess, the 12% mark that we seem to be stuck at in Web3. And it's probably, I'm going to be honest, it's probably less than that. I would say NFTs are growing it some, and I know that there's a lot of women coming in when they see like how they could develop themselves, like through GitHub, like through some of the coding that's being shared through GitHub. I know women have learned to develop themselves there. So it's really great to see a dedication. I mean, I understand there could be virtue signaling, and I don't care as so long as they give women what they say they're going to give them. And in some ways, if they develop that, if they help develop, then okay, so be it. I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
I know here some of I was looking at some of the details surrounding who would get them and why. And there's really not a lot there. It just says that each company and brand participating in the initiative will receive a free domain name as part of the $10 million giveaway.
Okay.
So there's a little less clarity about what the initiative is.
Yeah. Well, and $10 million is not that, just domains is not going to cover that whole 10 million. That's like a little sliver of that 10 mil. And so what are they going to do with the rest of the 10 million? Is that going to go towards development and all that, or?
Yeah, there's one more note. It said that they plan to create a quarterly list of 100 of the top women in Web3 and then develop a mentorship program with the nonprofit Girls in Tech.
Okay.
Which is great. Obviously, could get girls in tech. They need it. Girls need to be introduced to it early. Obviously, that's a further generation of women. But
oh, absolutely.
I love the fact that we were thinking about getting girls invested earlier in their lives. So, but yeah, I don't know, what signifies the 100 of the top women in Web3. I know you and I just briefly started to have this conversation. I don't know what that means. I find that a very weird way to be participatory here.
Okay.
Meaning, okay, great. What constitutes the top 100 women?
Yeah. How are they
And if the
quantifying
roles were
that?
reversed and we were like, let's get a list of the top 100 men, what would they choose to be informative of them being in the top? When we said money.
Yeah, more than likely it's going to be money.
Presumably we would do the same for women. Now, I told you that I haven't seen that.
Right.
I have seen almost like sheer desperation in some companies to find women projects and find women that they just lasso onto anybody. And that tends to be the loudest. And those tend to be the NFT projects.
Okay.
Not the developmental projects, not the Web3 projects. And I'm sure there's a lot going on under the scenes too. But if you think about like how loud things are, that's where the loudness is coming from.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of when you see the top women, and even if you do attribute it to value,
right,
is it just one NFT project? As we tend to be put into this NFT box where we're like, women are really only just creating NFTs. Like if you go to web conferences, they're like, women from this NFT project, this NFT project, this NFT. I mean, that's great. I love NFT projects, but I just worry about what does that mean for women, and what are they defining what's important to us? Instead, if I were this company, or if I was giving this company any advice, I would say they need to develop a real genuine program that applies applications for requests and grants.
Yeah.
Meaning that there would be some form and function for people to understand how they could potentially get chosen, all those things.
Yeah.
So that would
I
be my
mean,
only advice is don't just throw lists of women together. What is that? Like,
yeah.
it just doesn't make sense.
No,
And
and like,
100 of them?
yeah, where are they even finding a
Where
hundred of them? Like,
right.
I'm kind of impressed that they found 100. First of all, at all in any scope of our industry here, but like, and it
I
definitely drives me crazy because like I know and I've met and spoke to a
look
couple
at
of these really great women in the crypto industry.
there's so many great ones. I'm not saying that there's not.
Yeah,
It just seems to me like if you're doing a quarterly list of 100, I mean that's going to be pretty great. That's going to be 400 women per year that are going to be
yeah,
shown, and as I don't know if they're going to be contributed to by
right,
Decrypt. It doesn't say they're actually going to get a domain.
yeah,
It just says they're going to be on the list.
okay.
Um,
Yeah, I wonder what
so
kind of
yeah,
value they're going to get, down the list. Is it going to be just the top like 20 that are getting a lot of value from this, or is it going to be distributed equally? You know,
I would just, I would, I would just warn these companies to invest in consultative services.
like
Please
yourself.
stop doing really big things like this
Yep,
that you can tell was made by a man. I mean, you can honestly tell this was made by a man. If there was a woman involved with this, I can tell she didn't have a lot of influence because some of this doesn't even make sense.
sure. Yeah,
So that would be my best suggestion is presuming what women need as opposed to like really starting to develop it out. It just seems
right.
so I don't know. I can't be mad about like anything that's positive. I just sometimes you kind of wish that it would just be just a little bit different.
Be a little more thoughtful is kind of what we're saying here, and
Thoughtful is a really great word.
yeah,
Intentional.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it sounds like this was intentional, and I'm sure maybe it was just the way that it was described here.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and I definitely
and
saw right there at the beginning of the article is like when they were talking to Decrypt, one of the first things they had to do was like call them back and clarify part of this,
mm,
um, being that it is actually going to be including marginalized groups, not
right,
just women.
not just women.
And so,
Right.
you know, shout out
That's
to the
pretty
marginalized
typical.
groups, which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know. Try and figure out where your lane is first, maybe.
That's not what happens. So like
Yeah.
typically what happens is that in some ways marginalized people I guess sometimes feel like they have to come together because
Yeah.
we're all united in some way, although we may experience it differently, and we're all united, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with you, and I think that there's like I kind of have this like little argument on Twitter the other day. I was like, they were like, women don't prioritize women and other types of women at women's services or celebrations. I literally was like, what do you even mean by that?
Yeah.
It sounded to me like it was a start of an unnecessary war between women when it's really like, what are you doing? Just say you're women plus and move on with your life. You know what I mean? We are women plus. That
Absolutely.
indicates to me that it's women plus LGBTQ, like whatever, you know what I mean? That to
Yeah.
me means that it's not just women, it's women inclusive of all of these different types of things.
Right.
But yeah, it is really weird. We're at a weird stage in our history where I don't know how deep you can get into this because I don't want to have no political agenda here. I really don't. More so just a desire to get women into this space.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
and
yeah,
you've said it before that we're trying to bring women into this whole situation, but like on your own platform, men are very welcome as
hmm
well. And so,
hmm
it's not that we're trying to exclude anyone. We're just trying to
oh
bring
no,
in
yeah,
those who are
no.
not being brought in.
No, in fact, it's the opposite. We need them.
Yeah.
We need them to help us get women, more women to adopt. It's like we
Absolutely.
need like a community need. It's a community effort, right? And
Yeah.
we cannot disclude anybody in some way. So I can't say, oh no, men don't be part of our group. In fact, I want them to be. If they are allies and they are truly want to help, then goodness, please join. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because
Absolutely.
it really does take a community to develop.
Yeah. Takes a village.
It does. And so there's no reason to say no to somebody that's like, hey, I want to be an ally. Like, no, Nick, come on, no. There's nothing. No.
Right.
Well, I'm with you. I'm with you in the fact that it's like there's a level of openness that I think needs to happen at the core of it, just to be concerned in a human, in an
Right.
ethical sense, in a human sense.
Well, that's all fantastic. Let's move on to
Yeah,
another story here.
we can do that.
Let's snag out. I'll actually bring this one up and kind of lead on this. I'm going to switch over to a live screen of what I'm looking at. So I actually found this platform the other day. So we are sitting on Twitch and YouTube right now, is where we're broadcasting. And one of the co-founders of Twitch was Justin Kan. And Justin Kan decided to make his own NFT platform and NFT project. Fractal NFT is actually the NFTs that he created. They're little snowflakes. I think they're super cool looking. I actually ended
I love fractals. My other name is My Fractal Mind. The fractals are really amazing. Sorry.
Right. No,
just geeking out on
applicable.
fractals there for a second. I mean, I'm not the only one that feels that way, so I'm definitely with it.
Right. So, I'll put this right out there. I did buy 2 of them for, it was like, I gave myself a budget of 1.5 Solana. And so I went and found a couple of decent ones. And so they're organized by how much they spin, how big they are, how many different sides they have, and whatnot. And so there's not a whole lot you can do with the Fractal NFT right now itself. However, there's a lot of benefits that are already coming out of having them. And like, I just got whitelisted because of one of the 2 that I bought. And let me see if I can go to, nope, socials. No. Where's mine? There we go. So if I pop over here, I bought 2 of them. I got a blue one and a red one. And I think the red one was high enough, or no, the blue one was high enough power to get me a whitelist for one of the upcoming mints. And so this is a launch pad. First and foremost. And so he's trying to get all these other projects out. And these are actually really good looking games. If you look at Necoverse, you look at Yaku Corp, and this is all in Solana. He chose Solana because of the high throughput. Yaku Corp actually looks really, really good. There's a whole lot of actual good-looking 3D animation and graphic, and they're releasing.
Wait, they have a playable version of the game or something?
I believe they do have a
That's
playable game right now.
That's almost a minimum for me.
Yeah.
If anybody says that they're gonna put out a game in the future, and I'm like, okay, prove it.
Right. What part of that game do you even have out? Come on. I'm with you on that one, but that's also something I'm going to struggle with in my own projects. So, try to but anyway, honestly,
I mean, you have to be able to, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but it's I know it's a struggle, but you also have to do it.
Right.
Okay, look at that. So we're seeing this guy run around. And this potential 3D worlds. Okay.
I'll switch back to you without
jump in the pool,
letting you know.
Nope, you didn't jump in the pool. Well,
yeah.
Nope, that's it. I'm done. So you didn't jump in the pool.
There you go. But yeah, so that's one of the benefits that you're getting from the fractals, and it's going to be continuing to do that, as basically you're sitting here as somebody who helped start the platform, and so therefore all the things that the platform is helping jumpstart is gonna give you a little benefit, maybe a whitelist, whatever. So I'm looking forward to that. They've got a bunch of really cool games, including one that I had already been on top of and kind of looking at back a couple months ago, called Orrery. If you're familiar with Orrery,
how do you spell that?
AURORY.
Orrery. Okay.
Yeah. And so Orrery was supposed to be a top-down platformer with NFTs involved, and honestly, their floor is super high right now. It's the floor is 30 Solana, 30.2, and so I really wish I had jumped into that. I liked the look of it. I love the art. The gameplay looked really fun, and they've got a functional game, I believe, which is first and foremost very important.
Function is very important to me.
Right.
And I know a lot of games are going to come out through this method. It's a very interesting concept to me. I'm just so curious about how they're going to continue this method.
Well, one of the big things that you really need to think about in your gamification or monetization of a game is the economics of the game itself, And that's
Right.
one of the things I'm really, really working hard on with my own game right now is like, okay, what's going to bring value back to the player, but at the same time, not make it so that there's such a high entry cost that people won't want to get in. Like, this 32 Solana, that's pretty limiting for people who don't have 32 Solana right now. You do 32 Solana times $90, and that comes up to a pretty big number at the moment. So that's something to really consider, and the economics. I'm going to switch back to the podcast screen here so we can talk to you. But what do you think that is something that you can do to kind of help that double-edged sword of bringing value but not barring entry?
Proof of stake,
Proof of
first
stake,
and
first of
foremost.
all, yeah. Which Solana, of course, makes it really easy
I
to
mean,
do
I know
that.
the proof of stake,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So not working on
And then
Ethereum.
from there, yeah, you're gonna have to set that. This is kind of why it's like 3D chess. It's like you're potentially gonna have to set your starting rate at something that's really reasonable. I mean,
Oh yeah.
don't get too cocky about it. If you want people to get in, I think you have to keep in mind that your initial investors potentially could be your biggest contributors and fans and creator of generation of future wealth,
Oh yeah.
so long as you don't just kind of like try to play your highest hand first. It's kind of like playing cards in some way. Like, why are you playing that so quickly when you
Mm-hmm.
could just wait and hold out?
Yeah.
So and then I think with NFT projects, it would kind of bum me out if it was, and I might be the only one because I read some very interesting tweet today, but it would kind of bum me out if it was only just maybe just clothes and like some accessories like in a game. Like,
Yeah.
I, if I'm investing in something early, and I would love to be part of it for a long time to come, not
Right.
just not just a spender,
Yeah.
but as an investor, right? And why are we here treating these types of situations like Web 2 situations? We could really treat them like Web 3. We can share wealth. Why are we not doing it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I
That's
guess
kind of the whole
that's where
point
I'm
here
at
too.
is there's simplicity of just going through like and just essentially copying pasting what the Web 2 subscription model, except your subscription is now an NFT and your NFT may be playable and or may
Mm-hmm.
not be. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's so I don't know if that gives you any input. That's kind of where my brain's at.
Right.
I would just love to see people create value, shared value amongst each other as well.
Absolutely. And,
Um,
and that's kind of the whole purpose of, crypto and NFTs in general is value distribution, and the fact
mhm.
that, normal people can now start becoming more wealthy in Web3 space, which translates back into the real world now. I mean, it really does. And it's so nice seeing these random new people who had nothing, came from nothing. All of a sudden, they're worth quite a bit of money because they chose the
Mhm.
right project, or, they've been part of and adding value to something. And you can go from, like I'm doing, straight from blue collar into a white collar profession. It's like, what kind of degrees do I have? Almost
Mhm.
nothing that's relevant here, but I've got that big basis of knowledge from all this time spent in the space that most people don't have. And so that's one of the great things too that we're seeing here. So let's scoot on over here real quick. Talk about, where did it go? Crypto whales buying some
Mm.
tether. So USDT. So over the last month, over $1 billion of tether have been purchased by whales, which is adding to their ability to buy other cryptos more quickly, and how that may affect the market. So yeah, what do you think about that, Lisa?
I'm trying to pull it up and look at the details.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. I will
Oh,
switch over to
I'm
live
hi,
screen
scrolling
and
through it. Perfect.
show. Where did I go?
Yeah. So
Okay, okay.
when this much money moves around that quickly, I'm very curious why.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes it's hard to track what it is. Maybe they're sharing information about a potential future growth. Maybe there was an announcement that the company has made.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think I'm missing something about Terra. Did the article not describe potentially why there might be that sort of
It did. I just hadn't
investment?
gotten all the way through that.
Mm,
Let's see. Santiment also reveals Bitcoin investors continue to load up on Bitcoin. So people are buying the dip here, which could generally, say that they're possibly, waiting for it to go up from here. So we could be looking at a potential bottom or a bottom soon. Um, so this really just plays into any kind of technical analysis, and
mm-hmm.
wherever you start seeing large purchases, if it's not coming from sell-offs, so if it's not coming from Bitcoin selling off into Tether, that's definitely one thing to
As an
look out for
investor,
as an
right?
investor, where market may dip. But if they're buying from fiat to Tether, that's a whole different thing, where they're positioning themselves in a spot where they can start buying. um, and so that's a very important thing. And so
Yep.
we're looking at a couple really important levels of Bitcoin price action right now, and that may be an indication as to why these companies are purchasing all this
Mm-hmm.
Tether straight from fiat. But a couple other people have voiced this opinion, and I kind of stand alongside it, that I don't necessarily like Tether as much as a couple other stable coins. I mean, USDC is, it's run by Circle. These are big companies that they're working with the government, they're working on regulation. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors as far as who's going to be more prevalent and who's going to be allowed to operate. And it generally feels like the sentiment around Tether is that there's a skeleton in the closet.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So,
I love doing. Sometimes I love this. Is like, to me, I love digging sometimes and figuring out because you can put your ear to the ground in crypto and you can hear a lot. You,
absolutely. Well, and if you
on message
combine it,
boards, on Twitter,
oh yeah, oh yeah,
lots
yeah,
of
yeah.
things, lots of
Follow
places.
the
So
whale Twitters.
it's quite possible that there is a somebody out there told us what's going on here, but we just have to do a
We
little bit
gotta
more poking around.
go through and dig it out
That
of
is
the.
crypto,
Yeah.
Poke the bear. Poke the bear. Poke it, poke it, poke it.
Oh yeah, I love poking the bear. So that story can actually kind of, we can do some of that, putting our ear to the ground here, and combine that story with this other story about, where did it go, Terra Luna. So Terra Luna
Mm-hmm.
being another stable coin.
Yeah.
And I will switch to a bigger screen about that real quick. So coming from the Daily Hodl, I'm just finding this news outlet as well as Bankless, a couple of good places to find decent information on crypto. But neither of which I work for, so just trying to share information. So crypto analysts say the technology behind Terra Luna will be the future of global payments, which I actually really would like to stand behind. A couple of really good stable coins are Luna. I do like USDC just because it is so broadly used. I mean, I can pull out my or not crypto.com, my Coinbase card, and I pay for things with USDC literally every day. I bought something this morning with it. I bought something yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So it is being used. That's why I like it. I don't know, anything about Circle as a company, but Luna and a couple of the other stable coins. Luna is an algorithmic stable coin, so it's based on how much of the stablecoin is needed. There are people
Right.
who provide liquidity in the Terra Luna asset. So UST, is it UST or is it US? What is the name, the acronym or the ticker for Luna's dollar? But anyway, so it algorithmically pulls and what's the word for it? Triage, or no, not triage, arbitrages. So it arbitrages from their asset that changes price to their pegged asset, and so it burns some of the
Mm-hmm.
Luna to make the stable coin, and vice versa whenever it needs to balance out the price. So you'll see that it actually bounces to $1.01 or 99 cents, and it's actually going to be less than both of those numbers. So it's like 1.0008 or something like that. It's really minimal, and you can, I guess, trade that, but that's a whole different thing. but there's a big thing to be said for algorithmic stablecoins, and that's kind of why I was really excited about seeing what was it? Secret Networks Silk Coin, which isn't necessarily going to be pegged to a dollar, but pegged to an average of assets, which could be very, very important for situations like the Ukraine war that's going on and all that, where you put your things in here, you're still going to be holding value very, very securely in a group of things that are also fluctuating, but you're stuck in the middle at that average, which is going to be far better than wildly fluctuating Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever. I mean, we all love Bitcoin as a store of value, but having something that doesn't fluctuate is going to be functional for payments.
Yep, that's exactly right, and that's what I've noted was a really big point of this particular article. Is just like we need that. So in some ways, they're predicting that the market will decide that, and
it always does.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I
it
like
doesn't.
I like here they put together the risks pretty clearly and pretty quickly. It says there are risks, peg risks, and regulatory risks are big issues. It also requires a stable crypto market to thrive. There says there's also a heavy insider ownership, but demand fixes that. So demand obviously has to increase for this $1 billion in whale ownership to be mitigated at some point.
Right.
But that's just what they says. And then it says demand would fix that. The next 24 months are crucial.
Yeah.
But if they pull it off, it could be huge. 24 months is really a really interesting time frame.
Yeah. I mean, a lot happens in 24
quick.
months in crypto.
It does. I would never have thought that you could turn something like the whole financial industry on its head in like less than a decade, but that's what's happening.
I mean, it's less than 5 years at this point. I mean, most of that development has happened in the last 2.
Right. I mean, the biggest amount of development, but its age technically is
absolutely
10 years old. What are we at? 10 years?
Yeah. Well, if you start talking about the bell curve of adoption and how fast people are adopting crypto compared to the internet or other prevailing technologies like that, crypto has this rocket fuel behind it, and
and I was just watching an interview with someone at Google who was confident that it's a potential that the next billion people will come online at some point within our lifetimes. Obviously, you would hope. And what that means, you know what I mean by the next billion people?
No, please elaborate.
Okay.
I may or may not, but we'll just go through it anyway.
Absolutely, because it's a really good concept, I think, for people to understand, because we forget sometimes when we're in first world what everything else is like in the world.
Yeah.
But I'd have to look at the statistics, but like maybe there's like 2 billion people that have access to the internet, that are online, that have mobile webs, you know what I mean? That type of thing. There's like a measurement of a limit of a bottom.
Yeah.
And we technically call those people offline.
Okay.
And a lot of them are going to exist perhaps in, developing countries like India. And I'm not saying India is more developing. They've been developing for a long time, but their population is exploding in development, I guess is a better way to say it.
It absolutely is.
You're going to see a lot of people come online who were never online before.
Yeah.
So they're going to get access. How that access is going to happen is, I don't know. It maybe it through like infrastructure development. Maybe the cost of associated technology will go down to where it'll be affordable enough. Those types of things. And so if you think about it, there's billions of people that aren't online yet.
Yeah.
So what happens when 1 billion people come online?
A lot of business.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he's trying to tell us is, as chaotic as we see it is now, the next billion people could come online. And, sometimes I forget that the world, it's just so big, then like even in crypto, you're like, oh, I'm too late. I'm like, no, no.
By the way, everyone, we're still very early.
Nope.
So,
but it's easy to think those things when you're in that bubble and you see it all the time and it's logical to you. So I would, I'm really excited to kind of hear, and there's a lot of ethical concerns about bringing the next billion people online, and how we're going to bring them online. But it's a really good
honestly,
concept to look into.
it is, and it's definitely something I've read into a little bit already. I hadn't used that term before,
Mhm.
but so if you listen to or go through any of Michael Saylor's reading, or pay attention to what Charles Hoskinson is doing over in countries like Nigeria, South America, very unbanked populaces. So first of all, the what was the book
Right.
called? I think it was the Mobile Wave, and this is a concept even more than just his book title. And so the mobile wave is generally the idea that technology is going to go through and sweep up the people who are not into it yet, and those third world countries, or even second world countries, they actually have a huge benefit here, and we're about to see a lot of that, and is already kind of happening in countries like God, what is it? Not Venezuela, El Salvador. So El
Oh
Salvador
yeah.
picking up
Yeah.
Bitcoin. So the general concept is that because those countries are undeveloped right now, there's less in the way for developers to have to clear out first so they can put in current tech. So it's actually going to be a lot easier for those people to step into the current realm of technologies, because they don't have to
They
go
just have
through
to.
and deal with
Right.
digging out cables that are already there, digging out
Or
sewer
de-learning
systems,
anything.
or unlearning. Yeah, and so like they can go in,
Yeah.
they can slap in a bunch of cabling, they can slap in cell towers, give them 5G phones, and bam, they're in the 21st century for a fraction of the cost of how we all got there. And that's actually going to hold back bigger cities, older cities, like New York and Seattle,
Yeah.
Chicago, where I used to actually work in this industry, and when I dig down 3 feet, I would start finding brick roads. I'd start finding random power boxes, random sewers. I'd have to move entire light fixtures just to make the project work. And what I was doing was non-constructive or non-destructive digging, which is, basically I can go through without using a shovel and hitting things.
Mm-hmm.
And so like you don't have to do that, because like that's really expensive. I know what my hourly rate was. It's crazy, especially if
Mm-hmm.
I'm on a government job. Um,
Right.
and so like not having those barriers in the way is going to help these new billion people come online really, really quickly. And those billion people are going to be crypto native from the get-go,
Mm-hmm.
especially the younger folks that are kind of already in it.
Right.
And so that's why like Cardano Foundation is out there trying to bring banking to the unbanked people of like Nigeria and places
Right.
like that. So it's definitely going to be a big deal, when that next billion pop in. And there's something else to consider here is, the billion that are about to get removed due to Russians' actions. Um,
Mm.
you know, yeah, everyone in Russia is about to suffer super hard, just due to the fact that we're going to have to impose these sanctions due to the actions of their leadership, and that's going to bring a lot of people offline, unfortunately, or they're going to go about it using Tor bridges and stuff like that, you know, which may or may not be a good thing. If you look at
Mm.
stuff from like the Marvel universe, where you've got, what was the place called, Nowhere, where there's no rules, there's no laws, anything like that. They had a thriving society there with no laws or rules. So maybe that's what's about to come from all this, metaverse with no law. um, oh god, that just reminded me, there was like, I saw a article headline saying there was the first metaverse sexual assault that happened, and I didn't get a chance to read it, and it's still wafting through my mind. And what the hell happened? I'm sorry, that was so a total tangent off the current topic, but yeah, no, that's something to not look forward to.
Oh, it's already. I mean, I probably if we're doing that, I could have done that a year ago, 2 years
Oh
ago.
jeez.
I
Oh
mean, like,
man.
you go in there and they do this, right? They take their finger and then they just start poking you in every direction and under and above and in your face and your eye. I mean, and keep in mind, this is VR.
Yeah.
So they're like coming into your face. Now, I don't know if I
Are we
didn't
talking
take it.
VR or actual metaverse? Because like this was
Say,
specifically
well,
about metaverse. Because like people
oh,
in VR chat, yeah, that's a weird place to
that's
be.
really weird in VR chat because you're just like, you're so close to me. Like, what are you doing? But
Okay.
if it's just my little avatar running, I don't know. I think the behavior is really weird. Don't ever go up to anybody and do something oddly sexual. What the fuck is wrong with you? Excuse me. But like, but I also don't know, like, can we control all that? Like, I
Yeah.
don't,
How
like,
would one implement laws? How would one implement such, the rules
right,
of such? I mean, aside from
right.
the fact that everything is much more easily recorded, eh. So, you're 100% of the time being recorded while you're, in these spaces, or are you,
Just have to create a community that detests it. And so
Yeah.
that person does not feel welcome, that they don't have a place to grow and to ponder their weird
Yeah.
inclusion, invasiveness of other
Proclivities.
people. Yeah, like the fact that they like obsessively want to invade other people's like space or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's take a moment to calm down, bruh.
Just step back, have a normal conversation. Everybody's
Yeah.
normal people here,
Yep.
hopefully.
Yep. I'll tell you out there right now, there's a lot of women that have a hard time talking to men too. You're not alone.
Yeah. Everybody gets a little shy
Not saying
sometimes.
you, but
Hey.
whoever these people are.
Yep. I have a hard time talking to people sometimes.
If you're a simp, I would say please like focus on your value and not putting like resting your value in other people and women. And yeah, that's it. That's the only feedback I have. I just don't know. It's a very weird scenario. We don't have to go through it right now, but I'm trying to think of like
not a crypto
conceptually, like
conversation per
where's
se,
the
but
line? Oh well, I mean, it's happening around here. I mean,
yeah,
it's
that's true. That's true. It is in the cryptoverse.
I know that it's
so.
I know that it's I know that Horizon, and I understand where not all metaverses we are, but I know Horizons has been having issues, and so they've been hiring a lot more people. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that people do weird stuff online.
Have you stepped into Sandbox at all yet? So every time I go to Sandbox and I try and like dig into that project and actually physically, okay, we need a word for going into the metaverse, like digitally, physically going in there. Like, okay, this is the concept.
Is there a word for it?
Exactly. We need to come up with something for like, a building in the metaverse. It's physically in the metaverse, but it's digital. So like we need to come up with this third term for these in realm objects, including yourself, being in the realm of whatever the metaverse. And it just
say I went in realm, I went in meta, I went in the verse.
It was metaphysically there. That's what it is. I found it. Metaphysically
there. Yeah, it's not there, but it's not there. It's like
exactly
there by influence or whatever.
It's got
energy
boundaries within the metaverse, and that can include just the shape of your avatar. It can include the shape of the walls,
right?
So it's metaphysically. We just coined a new term. You heard it here first on the Consensus Podcast. Metaphysical.
It won't confuse anybody.
Anybody ever. No, and people have definitely used that term for something else, but yeah, ghosts and goblins.
You definitely heard it here first.
Yeah. God.
Will they repeat it? I don't know, but you heard it here first at least.
Is what it is, but
yeah. So anyway, that was off topic, but it was just I like my brain to try to I'm a very logical person, so a lot of this is just like, what are they doing? How did it happen? Why? Why? Lots of whys. I'm like a 2-year-old child in my brain. It's like, but why? But he poked her, but why?
My question is why not? That's always my question.
Probably, maybe I don't ever swing to that side. Maybe I'm like additive instead of negative.
That's like the inventor, the explorer in me is, people are always asking, why'd you do that? I said, but why not?
Right.
I really love asking that. And do it in everything, You can sit there and you can ask the why and why not, but I feel like the why not is a better question for some reason. But that's just me.
True. I see what you're saying.
Oh, man. All right. We are coming up on 52 minutes here. I think we have had ourselves a pretty great little show. Anybody that is in chat, if you want to say hi or want to shout out, you want to ask any questions, we actually have 2 viewers. They might be me, or me and you. You never know.
Probably one's me.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
I can see what's going on the screen.
Yeah, that's okay. But
whether or not my face is being shown.
Yeah.
Well, hello.
Hello, me. Hello,
you. To all the folks, all of the us's, and some other folks.
So you catch this show later, you might miss a little bit of the interaction, but feel free to tune in. I think We were vaguely discussing reducing the podcast to a 2 times a week situation, and I'll update the schedule in the Twitter if that becomes a reality. Um, and we're not sure what days that might be, but we'll have to talk about that between Lisa and I. And if anybody else catches this, NFT projects, any kind of platforms, developers, hell, just any regular people. If you feel like coming on the show, I'll start a random show up just for you, and we'll go ahead and we can talk about whatever the topic is. We could do a Twitter space, anything like that. Feel free to reach out on my Twitter. Reach out to Lisa if you need any help learning about NFTs. You just did a thing the other night, didn't you? One of your learning sessions. Tell us about that real quick.
I do. Okay, so weekly, I run like a wallet and wine, and I've done it 3 or 4 times now.
And where are you broadcasting?
In our Discord.
In your Discord. Okay.
So our website has the Discord, and then my profiles typically have our Discord, but we have about 433 women, well, maybe not just women, but just people in our Discord.
Okay.
And so weekly I try to host something. I mean, I'm not great at keeping, there's a lot going on, and I don't have anybody else doing it with me right now. So I'm not great at keeping them excited every day, but I do host, these learning opportunities, for free. Essentially, each time I have about 4 or 5 people there. It's actually been a really good show for what I'm doing, and that I just started doing it.
Yeah.
And we learn everything from the bottom up with no question too small, no theory to nothing. We start from wallets, and then we move forward from there. Wallets, I wanted to create wallets as the foundation, because you could start to explain a lot from wallets.
Oh yeah.
Exchanges, and all the cold wallets, hard wallets, software wallets, and then custodial, non-custodial, and then safety of the wallet. So we do that, and then some of the ladies are actually going beyond that now. So they're learning, and they want to keep learning. So I'm going to do like another presentation this Wednesday.
Okay. What time?
8 p.m. Central.
Okay.
And actually,
which is
my account has tweeted this as well.
Okay.
And it actually tweeted the event. So just go on to my Twitter. The event is there if you're interested.
Awesome.
What we're going to do is I'm going to do a presentation on the basics of blockchains, and then like the use cases for potential use cases or blockchains, just to add like a secondary layer to kind of give them better perspective of what's going on out there, and potentially, hopefully, get people to imagine what they could do in this space as well.
That's fantastic. Let's see if we can possibly do a Twitter space on top of that. So it isn't super hard. You can only do it through your phone, unfortunately. I did try and start a Twitter space yesterday, and I had some network issues here and there, and it really helps having a co-host, even if the co-host doesn't say or do anything. Just having 2 Twitter accounts, and from there you can allow people to come up on stage and ask questions. You can just talk the whole time. It doesn't matter how you feel like doing it. I generally pop into 1 or 2 Twitter spaces a day, based on NFTs. They pop up on my thing. Is it a developer for one of my projects talking some alpha? Twitter spaces, actually, they're really, really great. Sure, the tech kind of sucks, but the function is there, and it really does a lot for the community, feeling like it's not a them and us developers and retail. And in this situation, I think it would be really fun too. So I agree.
I've struggled with getting it outside of Discord, and I'm definitely going to. So but in the meantime, please join me in Discord, and I use their screen sharing capabilities and their voice capabilities in there.
Cool. And let me actually pull that up for everyone real quick for womenonlycrypto.com. So I'm going to go ahead and
like the second post, I would say, from third person.
Show the website that Lisa has built for the community here. And this is a great place to come and learn and grow. Beautiful website, and I think down here we've got accept your cookies. We've got the links to her socials at the very bottom, and we definitely I don't see a Discord
right at the top. Hopefully this is good feedback if we
Oh, you're
are
right.
unable to see
Chat
it.
on Discord. Sorry, I just didn't see that. So we can pop that open and head over there at any point in time. And
Yep.
that is where you guys will be able to find Lisa on a daily basis. So
Yeah.
I think that is about it for today. Thank you for watching and joining, even if you're just lurking there in the corners. We appreciate you being here, and we will see you on the next podcast, hopefully tomorrow or Friday. That will be Wednesday or Friday. So have a good day, everyone.
Thanks for showing that. All right.
Bye.
Toodaloo. Signing off. Oh, we should do like